My name is Andrew Chung, and I've been in the DIS program for 1 semester. DIS is a program where so many students come together to try to change the world. I mean, DIS is a very different program from any other major in the fact that we're all so passionate about making a difference in the world, and it's very societal based. It's not, I guess my first semester I took Studio 1 with Bert Swersey, and I guess in that studio he taught us to learn how to put people and planet before profits, and that was a very inspirational quote that I take to heart. And this program is full of very passionate students dedicated to changing the world. And that's what I say to my friends. It might be a kind of naive approach, but what the heck, right? Like we're members of society, might as well contribute. Okay, well, I actually joined DIS partially because my friends told me about the program and said that it's great, get to invent stuff, design cool products. And so that's what I was expecting my freshman year. I guess the first studio with Bert Swersey, it wasn't exactly what I expected. Studio 1 is geared towards defining you as a designer. Like, what are your priorities in design? What are your values as a person, I guess? And then implementing your values into your design. And so my first studio with Bert Swersey, we didn't really design too much. Instead, our tasks, our projects were very, who are you? I expected design to be simple, just, I thought design was simple, just appealing to the consumer's eyes, right? And then just having the people buy the product. I thought it was as simple as that, but when I took Studio 1 with Bert, I realized it's much more complex than that. I mean, first of all, it's not just about getting your product on the shelf and then making it appealing to the customer's eyes. It's more about what the product does, how long it lasts. I mean, what impact does it have? Not on the person, just on the customer, but also on society. I guess DIS has changed me primarily through the club that I'm very a part of. Engineers for a Sustainable World is a club at RPI dedicated to, I guess, infusing sustainability in our society through engineering practices. And we hold lots of projects around the world. And before I joined DIS, we had a very technical approach to everything. Just making sure that our, say, biodigester or solar-powered classroom works. But I realized after joining this program that it's much more than that. You have to really take into account the societal impacts to design and to your system, as well as understanding the customer. For example, I actually went to Haiti in January 2010, and there we designed and implemented a solar-powered computing classroom in Haiti, but we didn't really spend much time talking to the people who were going to be taking care of the system. We were just so ingrained in the technical detail that that's all we thought of the project. But with DIS, we get to analyze, what do you have to consider in design? You have to consider everything, and it's, I guess what I think of it is more, what's your control volume? In technical standpoint, right? You have the control volume, and you see the inputs and the outputs. But in DIS, they really encourage you to think globally, think with a global perspective on everything. What's your input? What's your output of the whole thing for everyone? People and planet, not just the one person or just the technical system. So I joined DIS primarily because I like everything. So I actually joined RPI because I like engineering in general. And then I became a mechanical engineer because it's such a broad major. You could do a lot with mechanical engineering. And then I heard about DIS, and I was like, okay, this is the most broad program you could really think of. It's just oh, let's change the world. And that really got me. And I'm really passionate about making a difference in society. yes, I want the experience to work in a corporate environment, work for a corporation, make some money so I can, of course, sustain a family in the future and so on. But DIS made me realize that's not all that I want to do. I don't want to just, make money and just be a normal, member of society. That way, there's so much to do in this world, to fix all of these problems, to see what people don't see, like in societal growth. That's what I want to do. That's what eventually, I guess DIS really encourages students to, make a business, start a business on your own. And that's eventually what I want to do. DIS definitely helped me get the courage to do that. So my Studio One professor, Bert Swersey, a lot of people thought he was crazy at first. He has such a passion to change the world that sometimes he throws out like the obvious stuff that we think is so important in design, like say using a cheap material, right? Like that might harm the environment. Bert would throw that out there, whereas other people would be like, oh my gosh, but it's so cheap, we could just manufacture so many and make lots of money, right? But Bert's like, no, it's like you have to make the right decision. Like, who are you as a designer? Again, like, are you someone to just take all the profit? Like, you have to realize that you're taking all of this profit just by working in a corporate environment, and you're just, by constraining yourself to societal constraints, like, you're not thinking outside the box in terms of benefiting society. Like, you're just making society progress, which is, I guess, okay for the most part. But there has to be a program, some sort of class that you take to break out of that shell. And I feel like DIS is that program. Well, Studio One is very vague, right? Defining who you are as a designer and then trying to translate your values into your design. Whereas Studio 2 is more engineering based. You're working with Mark Steiner, who is an engineer. So they are very different studios, and I believe this is like the perfect order of studios. Studio 1 defining who you are, then Studio 2 putting it more in like technical a project of some sort. And yeah, I gotta say, I enjoyed both. I like Studio One because you're not limited to just technical projects. You have to do so much. Like, we analyze McDonald's and trying to see, oh, what can we do to utilize McDonald's like thousands of locations around the world, right? There are so many locations around the world. What can you do with it? You have so many resources available to you. You could do so much to change the world. Like things like that. It's not really technical. It's more like, I guess, vague. You just think of something and then just write about it, say, oh, this is what you can do here, 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 change the world. And then Studio 2, it's actually making a product of some sort. So they're both very beneficial. They're a great experience. I definitely think DIS students are awesome people, primarily because we want to change the world, and we have the drive to. We're dual majoring in this. So it's definitely, like, besides the program, right, our group of students is great. Like, we can connect with each other, try to maximize our impact globally, and like together. Like, we all have that same drive that really connects us as designers, as students, as classmates.